Made it this far, you definitely earned a little bonus. In this video, what I'm going to do is go through some of the safety and security tips that I practice and my husband practice each time we go to a convention. Now, I know you might be thinking, what does a Trekkie know about being secure and safe on a convention, outing, on a vacation? Well, this was my first Star Trek Las Vegas convention, and normally when I go to Vegas, it is actually for security conventions, what are commonly known as hacker cons. Over the years, because they are security conventions, we have picked up a few tips that are, quite frankly, easy for anybody to do. Very little financial investment has to be made on this, and it could save you huge headaches and the loss of a good vacation. Now, granted, a few of these tips are just going to be for Star Trek conventions or fan conventions of any kind. Others will be for every vacation you may ever take, and some of them might just be good for Vegas. Tip number 1, when you leave your room, whether it's to go get a meal, run downstairs to grab a toothbrush that you forgot to bring, always check and make sure the door has latched behind you. I think a lot of us are just used to the door having a spring that makes sure that it closes completely. And a lot of times we don't think about giving it an extra tug just to make sure it latched. The last convention, we know somebody did get broken into, and that's one of the ways it's very possible someone might have gotten into the room, is it just wasn't shut all the way. So always make sure that the door has actually latched completely. Tip number 2. Now, I know that a lot of people think of VPNs as something that is for use to get access to things you might not have access to where you live, but a VPN can also be a really great way to ensure that you are secure on your end. Whenever I go on vacation, I make sure I have a VPN for each device I'm going to use on the hotel's internet, on any open internet, whether it's at the local McDonald's or library or wherever you're going to be. This also means that if your phone is using the local internet, you need to make sure your phone has a VPN. The VPN that I've gotten used to using is IPVanish. It's not complicated. Once you've installed it and have an account, you just basically push one button and bam, you are behind a wall so that people who are hooked up to the internet that everyone else is sharing at, say, the hotel, don't even see your computer. It's not even there. It is, but no one else can see it from the outside. It also does actually give you access if you are, say, in Las Vegas and you live in, say, Indiana, and you want to have access to the same material on your streaming services. You can make it look like you're still in Indiana because you are paying for that service. So it's a great way to not only make sure that you're secure, but while you're on vacation, keep up with your favorite shows if you are so inclined to do so. Number 3. The third tip is one that you might not think of on a regular basis on vacation, but you probably implement regularly at home. And that is to not use any passwords, security codes, especially for your safe, that might be easily guessed. Or the best example I could think of was if you go to a Star Trek convention and you have to have a 4-digit safe code, 1701 should not be it under any circumstances, even if that's the only number you could ever possibly remember. Please, if you're at a fan convention, any information that can be associated with the characters, house numbers, ship numbers, departure dates, train stops, anything having to do with the series that might be well known, you really should, or movie, whatever the fandom is, should be avoided at any cost. Because while you're thinking, oh, no hacker's going to know why I'm here, guess what? It's the first thing they figured out. Why the people are there. If everybody's there for the same convention, I guarantee you anybody who wants to cause any mischief and has any brains whatsoever to do a slight amount of research is going to have a list of passwords, of numbers, of colors, of whatever might be associated with that fandom Just make sure that you're not using anything that can be associated with you or the reason that you're there. Tip number 4. This tip actually has saved us at least once for sure that I know. And that is to enable your Find My device on each of your devices. Again, whether it's your phone, your laptop, your tablet, make sure that is enabled. It's very common for us to just carry our phones, take pictures, do what we're doing, and turn around. If you put your phone down and walk away, it's not like you're at home and you remember, oh, I left it on the counter, or oh, I left it in the bathroom. Oh, I left it in Casino 3, 5 blocks down isn't going to help you any. But if you've got the Find My device turned on, from the moment you leave the door to head on to vacation, then that is one less headache that you might avoid later on down the road. Tip number 5. And this one is mostly for Vegas as far as I'm aware. However, it would not surprise me if it isn't applicable in other high spending vacation spots. And that is, especially for Vegas, know the cash that you need and take it with you, because instead of that $1.50, $2.50, maybe even $5 surcharge that you have to pay at the bank for using a non-network ATM, we are talking about a $20 or crazy percentage that you need to pay for using the ATM there on site on their end. This is in Vegas. So we always made sure we figured what we were going to gamble. Rather you're like me, not a big gambler, and so you set aside $100 for gambling for the week. Or if you are going and you know you're going to want $1,000, $2,000, whatever, make sure that you have a way to get that cash without having to go to an ATM anywhere near the Strip in Vegas. Now, the great thing is there are drugstores you can get cash back on your purchases, and then you're back to that $1.50, $3 surcharge for getting cash back on a normal purchase. But if you try to get money out on the Strip in any of the casinos, you are going to be paying way more than you wish you ever had to. So plan ahead. Most shopping, you can use your debit card. I will say that if you go to conventions and you want to make sure you're going to be able to make a few purchases from vendors, you might want to plan for that as well. Most vendors do have an alternative way for you to purchase using your debit or credit card. However, there are still a few, every now and then you'll run into, that simply only take cash. So be prepared. And understand that if you aren't, you might be paying a little bit extra in ways that you didn't really expect to be part of the charges. One thing that I always do is make sure that I've a nice wallet with a strap and that has an RFID protection sewn inside. If you're unfamiliar with RFID protection, it creates a barrier not allowing hackers to get into your information. You might not think this is a huge problem, but it isn't until it happens to you and you find that someone has actually stolen your credit card without ever actually having to touch your wallet. It's going to stop anybody who could from reading your magnetic strips off of your debit cards and your credit cards from within the wallet. When I make any purchases, I've got my bag, I wrap that around my wrist as well, so I am never not holding something in my hand, and I'm very aware of it, which makes it more difficult for somebody to come up and grab something because I've got a death grip on the sucker. It's not going anywhere. Now, of course, when you are going to go to a convention of any kind, or if you're going on vacation, there's always the nightlife. Whether there's going to be some sort of special event or you're just going out for a meal, you still want to use those regular precautions, because we tend to try to let our guard down on vacation, exactly what we're supposed to do. But it doesn't mean we have to really change our habits any, and if they are habits, it doesn't really encroach on your ability to relax. If you can think of any security tips that I didn't mention, please feel free to add them in the comments. I would love to hear anything that you normally do to ensure you're safe. And thanks for coming with me on a little trip down memory lane where I got to relive some of the fun I had last August.